Hey guys, Philosopher here. Today I'm unveiling a new character and a rework of an old team we've had for a while, the Ravagers. So obviously a team that a lot of people invested quite a bit in the past, back when they were a top war defense team, one of the best teams in the game. And now we have a new character, Madelyne Pryor, coming to the game, who is going to improve this team a little bit and they're doing a soft rework on some of the other characters as well. The analogy I would give you is Magic with the Uncanny team. A couple patches ago, they introduced Magic. Magic comes in, and she makes that team a lot better. The Uncanny team are no longer a doormat anymore. They are a team that is now above average. And they did, of course, some reworks on some of the old characters as well. I know some of you, or maybe some of you will be happy, you'll be excited you went hard in your Shadowland. Your Ravager team. You'll be excited about this. But I'm sure a lot of you are like, oh my God, Philosopher, we have so many teams to build, so many characters to build. Why are you even making a video about this team? I don't care about this. Well, I do think that this is worth paying attention to. This video is worth watching because I'm going to go through some of the old characters that you probably already have built and how they are reworked and how their kits are going to change. And also I'm going to give you guys a little insight into what happened here with the devs. So let me show you the new team, and I'm going to talk a little bit about this, what I kind of learned about this from our conversations with the devs. What I will just say is, first of all, you're seeing here, this is footage they sent us of the team versus Shadowland, and they apparently win. And the idea here is there's some stuff in their kits that is like anti-Shadowland, anti-X Factor, to make it so that you have to use a better team to beat them, to make this an above-average war defense team, to incentivize you, make you want to, whether it's I assume they want you to purchase and build up this new character, Madelyne Pryor, and put some more resources into the older characters here on this team. Now, I will tell you that my initial reaction to this team was pretty negative with the developers. We did have a meeting with the envoys and the developers, and I had a lot to say, and I was very aggressive about it. And basically, initially this team did not have stat reworks for the older characters. The older characters like STRYFE and Mr. Sinister and MYSTIQUE were just in their current state that they are in the game. And I will just tell you that I was very skeptical of how this team was actually going to do, because I, at least at high levels in war where we have everything built up, what I've seen is that these characters are just too power crept. I mean, we have the Marauders on the bench right now. I know that some of you are using Marauders in, let's say, whatever, Platinum 1 or 2, but because that's a team that you already have built, but they are a team that has really seen better days. They've been very heavily power crept. It's just the stats are too low. And so I was just very concerned. STRYFE, without some extra health, was going to get rolled very quickly. Mr. Sinister, these are just old characters that are slow, have low stats, etc. And they actually, I will say, so I made some strong points about, and very, I would say, a blunt, forceful points about how I didn't think this team was going to be very good, and I don't really see players. The only players who are going to be able to afford to build up this team anyway are whales, long-time players, end-game type players, because who else has time for optional war defense teams? And and I don't see why a whale would want to buy a character that makes a team that's below average. So they did make changes to this, and so some of the additions I'll show you, in the kits were just literally finalized, hours before I made this video. And I will also say to you that it was apparent to me in the creation of these characters and just the release of it to us that this was kind of sloppily put together. I'll talk a little bit more about that as we go through it. But I was a little bit disappointed with the the team and the design here of this game, or of this character in this rework. All right, let's go through it. So Madelyne Pryor, I will say this, looks like an interesting character. Very cool animations. You saw the beautiful art. Once again, always the art department's great. She is a villain global mutant controller and a marauder. And her basic psionic smite attacks the primary target for 300% damage plus flip 1 negative effect. Very cool. I think that's definitely, in line with some of the new awesome basics we're seeing. On war defense, flip 3 additional positive effects on the primary target. So really OP as a war defense character. You've got to think that this is going to be, potentially a striker, assuming that her ISO attack looks like the basic. All right, her special, Hellfire Vortex. This is a turn 1 ability. Check this out. This is a pretty insane ability. Gain taunt for 2 turns. Attack all enemies for 300% damage. Sorry about that typo there. And apply defense down for 2 turns. Very powerful. If Cyclops, Phoenix, or Dark Phoenix is an enemy, bonus attack all enemies for 300% damage. So this is just, I confirm with them, this is just flavor because like I told you a little bit about the comics history there. And then apply offense down for 2 turns to all Brawler and Blaster enemies, which, very nice because presumably those are the ones who you want, who the enemy is going to want to, have as damage dealers. Then this is the same special. There's just so much text I couldn't fit it on one slide. Apply Disrupted for 2 turns to all Protector or Controller enemies. That's really nice, right? Keeps them from taunting and so forth. Then apply Ability Block for 2 turns to all support enemies. So you can imagine, let's say your Beast or, whatever your support character is that you're expecting to be the healer gets Ability Blocked. The attack cannot be counterattacked. And oh yes, on war defense, the attack's unavoidable. And it applies ability blocks to all enemy protectors. So very, very powerful ability. Kind of a one-time thing, though. You're going to see this probably one time in a fight, given the long cooldown, but very cool. Unless I will say that Sinister, because Sinister goes after, you could imagine Sinister giving ability energy, I guess, and then, assuming he lasts to that point, then this would actually be a 4-turn cooldown. So that makes it a lot better. Here's her ultimate. Brimstone Meteor. It's a turn 2 ability. Attack primary target for 600% damage and prolong the duration of all negative effects by 1, which is cool. The idea being that she's going to put all those super negative effects out there in turn 1. Then on turn 2, she's going to go hard at somebody, finish them off, make it a 5v4, and prolong those negative effects that she just put on with the last attack. On war defense, this attack targets the most injured non-summon enemy. It can target Dark Phoenix, so they're basically making her an exception because Dark Phoenix is coded in the game as a summon. On kill, generate 2 ability for a random Mr. Sinister ally. The idea being one of the problems that Sinister has on war defense is he's slow nowadays, and he really, other than, he clones, heals everybody, and then just sits there, right? Basicking. So the idea being you get him to clone more, make him more of a threat. Very interesting. And of course, when he clones, he generates ability energy elsewhere. We'll get to that a little bit later. So that, can help. They can help some of the rest of the team. All right, this attack can't be blocked. Her passive, Goblin Queen. When an enemy attacks any Emma Frost, Marauder, or cloned ally below 50% health, mind control the ally with the highest damage to attack that enemy. The controlled character gains plus 30% damage for this attack. So this is, I would say, the most important line in her kit. This is really what it does a lot of the work. This enables her to essentially get around. There's a mechanic that the Shadowland have where they can't be mind tricked to do much damage, basically to make them a Marauders counter. This gets around it because she basically mind controls her own team. And that's sort of a clever aspect of this kit that gets around that. Also gets around, I think there's anti-mind trick stuff for Icarus and Cersei as well. All right, so then she gains 20% focus, gives it to the team. Same with damage. This is a way of buffing the whole team. Gain 50% chance to assist on non-attack abilities. Yet another reason why, you may want to have her as a striker. Then the passive continues. On war defense, gain 50% resistance per enemy brawler. And this is essentially a way of dealing with certain war offense teams, right? And then this here, and particularly I think Shadowlands. And then here, lower crit chance by 50% for all mutant enemies. So this is their way of just kind of a cheesy line to nerf X Factor. X Factor would roll this team without this one line. And so in order to stop that, they insert this line that just artificially nerfs the crit chance for all the X Factor. On spawn, fill speed bar by 30% for STRYFE. So this gets STRYFE taunting right away. And as you'll see, he's going to get much higher resistance with some changes in his kit. And he's also getting a health boost thanks to our comments. And let's just go right to that now. So these stat increases were just announced sort of to us at Envoys as a result of and I think this was pretty unanimous among the Envoys regarding kind of the fact that this was a lackluster rework at the time. And so now they've increased. And one of the points I made to him, so I'm like, his health is too low, his stats are too low. I understand when you're trying to rework him, he's just going to get rolled. And so this team's just not gonna do very well on war defense, and that this is gonna help a lot. 35% health is gonna help a lot. Damage stat by 15%, armor by 20%, focus by 30%, resistance stat by 45%. So this is definitely gonna help. One thing I will say, just to give you another insight into the devs, is it was apparent to me that their testing was very cookie cutter. They were testing this against sort of cookie cutter war offense teams, and he said that basically part of the value proposition here was that this was going to free up Doom for players. They know that Emma Frost sometimes moves off the team. And the thought process, and they said, look, a lot of times people are putting Doom instead of Sabretooth. Now you can use your Doom elsewhere. And I was too polite to tell them that, no, at high levels in war, people don't run Doom with Marauders. I mean, maybe these guys have, low-level alts or something like that, or, low-level accounts that they use or whatever, but no one actually does that anymore. That was something that happened early, a year ago maybe, when Doom was first hitting the scene. But it's apparent to me they don't have a really good understanding of how high-end war works. For those of you who actually are interested in war, the STRYFE rework special game, now, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the differences. So this is all still already there. This is currently in the game. +1 taunt up to a maximum of 3. Deflect, post barrier yourself, still already in the game. This is the new stuff, everything in yellow. On war defense, if Mystique is an ally, this is what forces you to have Mystique there. Barrier all allies for 25% of this character's max health. So this is, very nice. He's going to be able to do this right away. On turn 1, he's going to get that speed bar from the new character. Then he's going to do this. And then so the entire team's going to have 25% barrier on top of the other boosts, which is going to help the team's survivability quite a bit. Then generate 2 ability energy for 2 random Marauder allies, excluding Madelyne Pryor, because otherwise this would just, this would be it would be too much, right? She could do both abilities on turn 1. His ultimate nullifying blast. Apply ability block to primary target and adjacent targets. That's already in there, and then you attack them. On kill, gain +1 taunt, which is pretty cool. I mean, the idea is that on this team, he's going to be sort of this unstoppable tank. And then if he's charged, clear charge. More to that in a second. So on the passive now, on spawn, this is all the same. This is all in the game already. Here's a new thing. So first of all, when a mutant ally, villain ally drops below 70% max health, which is higher than it is now, gains +1 taunt and barrier yourself. So he's going to be barriering himself quite a bit, taunting quite a bit more. But here's the rest. It's still the same passive. Okay, here you go. While this character has charged, gain 500% resistance. So this is going to prevent, like in the very beginning, if you saw that video a minute ago, you saw that Electro was trying to put the disrupt on him and it failed. That's why. Okay, because of this is going to prevent you from doing things to try to keep him from taunting. So you kind of have to, the idea is to force you to focus him first, which really gives the rest of the team time to get going. On war defense, now if Mystique is an ally and health is full at the start of the match, he gains charge. So this is a way of forcing you to have Mystique on the team, and now she's going to, she's going to give him charge, because she's going to give him charge, which is sort of necessary to get STRYFE to be, powerful with that charge mechanic. All right. So let's now go to the MYSTIQUE rework. This was another thing that, like I said, these stat increases were done in response to our feedback. Base health stats up by 16%, damage by 27%, armor by 100%, definitely helpful to keep her survivable. Her focus stat by 44%. I actually mentioned them. She currently has some of the lowest focus in the game. And really, it wasn't clear to me, other than giving him charge, what she's even doing for this team. And they, now I think they're making sure she's going to flip the debuffs and land some other stuff flip buffs to debuffs and land some of the new abilities she has, and then increasing her resistance by 12%. All right, here, basic mimic strike. I will say they didn't give us all these details in the materials they presented to us. It was a little thrown together. It looked a little, like I said, this was kind of like it almost looked like it was thrown together at the last minute, which concerns me from Scopely. But I was able to, this is all confirmed. I was able to sort of go back to the game and add in some of the stuff they were missing. So basic, just they increased the damage multipliers on her basic. And now, so it used to be that MYSTIQUE could be in either Brotherhood or Marauders. She started out in the Brotherhood. Then when they introduced the Marauders team, they moved her there. And some of her cool abilities, like this one, really actually were better in the Brotherhood version. So if Magneto was there, she would copy all positive effects with her basic instead of 2. Now it makes it so if Madelyne's there, she does that, so she gets the full benefit of the basic. Now on War Defense, with her ISO attack, she applies a bleed. So that's going to make this a lot better because she assists on all non-attack abilities if you have the T400 passive. So now she's going to be applying bleeds all over the place. So that, and copying all positive effects. So that makes this much better. The special, increase the damage multipliers, and then now her attack is unavoidable if Madelyne Pryor is an ally. This is, like I said, just taking the stuff that was the Brotherhood part of her kit. Kind of a soft, mild rework there for her. And then if we go to her ultimate, this is where she does her mind trick thing. Okay, they up the damage multiplier. And then here you go. On War Defense now, that attack's unavoidable. And the attack targets a non-summon enemy with the lowest speed instead of the primary target, ignoring taunt and stealth. So this is supposed to, I think, target on certain teams. Is supposed to, target a character, for example, before they take their first move, that sort of thing. And then, by the way, apply taunt to the primary target. If this character has 3 or more Marauder allies, apply stun to that target. So I think they were trying to achieve a certain sort of consistency against certain teams. It was clear they were very focused on Shadowland, for example. And so, when you look at the Shadowland team, my sense is, let's see, if I look at who is the slowest on the team, I think, pretty sure that's Nightner. She's 100 speed. I'm just confirming that now as I'm making this video. Yep, it's Nightner. So the idea is they were trying to, they said when I asked them questions about certain things here, they said that they were trying to achieve a consistency against certain counters. So that's really what happens here. So what she's going to do on her opening ult is apply taunt to Night Nurse and stun her. So that's going to help against Shadowland. Of course, obviously, it's not going to help against all teams, but this is, achieving, preventing certain counters. I don't know, whether you'd want to waste Shadowland on this team anyway, but nonetheless, it's certainly going to achieve certain consistency of result. All right, Mr. Sinister rework is very mild. They increase his health a little bit, his base damage by 30%. No, that's not, I don't think, why you use Sinister, right, for his basic. The armor stat by 15%, okay. And focus by 46%. Now, the kit changes only to his ultimate, his clone, where he summons the clone gets defense up. He generates 2 ability for all Marauders, which they did not exclude Madelyne Pryor there, so she's going to get that. And then this ability targets the non-stun enemy with the highest damage instead of the primary target, ignoring taunt and stealth. This ability can target Phoenix. So I asked him, why did you do this? Because usually you want to clone a character because the stats are based on Sinister's, but they're like, I think it's 60% or something. They're a fraction of Sinister's stats. So the clones are never as powerful as a regular character. Like a 7 red star Sinister, can be as powerful as, let's say, a 3 or 4 red star regular character, but, or more, whatever that is, that multiplier is. But it's never quite as powerful as, let's say, it's not going to be powerful as the same star and red star non-clone character. So usually you try to target kit-based characters, not stat-based characters. And basically, I said, so why the highest damage? He said it was just for consistency of results against certain teams. And so, whatever. Now let's talk about Madelyne Pryor stats. What I did is I went through, they showed us the image of her. By the way, her unique is Astral Energy, which is the same as Phoenix's, which makes sense since she's a clone of Phoenix, a clone of Jean Grey. And let's just look at her stats. I compared it on the stat table in MSF.gg. Her health is 101st, so between Ultron and Cyclops, very squishy, but her damage is high. So she's sort of like a squishy character, high damage dealer, but very squishy. That's what she is. She's like a mage or whatever. Armor 156 between Nobu and Rocket Raccoon. So super high damage, like I said, between Morbius and Dagger for damage, but very low armor, like Paper Mache there. Focus very high, 20th between Karnak and Anik Warlock. Resistance 125th between Yo-Yo and Moon Knight. So that's pretty low. And then her speed is slow, tied with Killmonger. She's a little bit faster than Sinister, who's pretty slow. They did not change the speeds of anybody on the team. So, the team's slow speed is going to be part of what holds it back, makes it non-elite. It's going to ensure that it can't challenge some of the really top teams out there. So that's this team. I mean, what I would say with this team is I don't think this solves a problem for a lot of players. It will be it does for people who are at the, end game players who have tons of gear, have everything built out. Sure, this is going to be, the sort of thing some of my alliance mates are going to build, so that when they're fighting other diamond alliances, they have a slight edge because they have another war defense team. But even some of them, I think they're going to find this optional because let's face it, war defense is already kind of the lowest priority for most players. And there's a lot of other characters right now, right? People are bringing up their Web Warriors, their Dark Hunters for the Legendary. We're going to have a whole new, Darkhold team. So I don't know. I don't expect this to be a very popular character. But I think they've gotten this team to a point where I think just like the Uncanny Magic team, it will be above average. It'll be worth building for a small sliver of players. For most of you watching this video, I think you can just get the shards and, put this character off to the side and focus on the ones that you need to focus on from this upcoming patch because there's some really important ones coming out there. All right, guys, if you like this video, smash that like button. Subscribe to this channel. If you get comments, questions, cheers, jeers, happy, sad, angry, mad, post it below in the comments or go to my Discord. That's linked below. You can also go to my Twitch stream. That is linked below too.